Hey, this is Troy Taylor with the Championship Football Coaches Clinic. I got my great friend Toriano Morgan here today from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. T, how are you doing today? And just let the clinic know a little bit about you, where you're from, and then we can talk a little bit about how we met.
All right. Well, I am Toriano Morgan. I'm currently the head football coach at Edward Waters University. I was originally from South Florida, a proud graduate of Dillard High School down there, graduated from there, went on to Tennessee State University, played 4 years there where we won two championships, and then got into coaching directly right after college. Started right at Tennessee State as a graduate assistant, then moved back to South Florida. Did the high school circuit there for a while. Was at two high schools. Started back as the wide receiver coach at Dillard High School. Then moved to Anderson as offensive coordinators. Then made the jump back to college at Virginia Union University, where I was the offensive coordinator there for 5 seasons. Then from there, transitioned back to South Florida to take the head coaching position at Dillard High School. Was there for a season. Then got the opportunity to come back to Virginia, return to Virginia State University, where I was the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator under Coach Reggie Barlow at Virginia State University. And then got the opportunity here at Edward Waters University to be the head coach here at Edward Waters University. So
So, Toriano,
it's been a road, but
I met you when you were recruiting Meadowbrook High School when you just had came to Virginia Union. And I don't think I've told the story very much, but Coach James had came to Meadowbrook before you came on the staff. It was before he was the head coach, but Coach Mark James came to the school and he had his Virginia Union jacket on, and he had this group of guys with him, and I showed him all around, and after he left, I said, man, that guy's going to be the head coach. He's going to be the head coach of Virginia Union. I was like, they're making a change. I was like, that guy's going to be the head coach. And then he became the head coach. And that's when I met Toriano, and me and Toriano became friends. And then I decided to leave Meadowbrook High School, and I saw that Virginia Union was looking for a quarterback coach. And that's when I emailed Coach James. And Toriano is the reason I got a chance to coach college football. I'm a high school coach from Richmond, Virginia, and he's a guy from South Florida. He's a high school coach from Fort Lauderdale. So just talk a little bit about meeting me, and then Coach James getting the job, and did Coach James come to you about me, or how did that all work?
well, how it worked. Meadowbrook was one of the first schools that I got as far as one of my schools in my to recruit. And I would never forget walking into your classroom, Troy. First, I need so much energy that was positive energy that you could automatically see every young man, every young lady in that classroom was really engaged, and you could tell he had their attention. Ultimately, you could tell that there was a respect factor there, and got a chance. We were coming down to signing day, so we were setting up official visits and got a chance to meet a couple of his players that we were recruiting. And as we were speaking to them individually, each and every one of them spoke so highly of the experience they were having at Meadowbrook. They spoke highly of their experience being coached by Coach Taylor. So it was just something that kind of sat in your brain. And then we got the opening for the quarterback position coach, and we kind of bounced around some ideas as far as what directions we wanted to go. So in dialogue, I said, Coach Taylor over at Meadowbrook would be great. Proven teacher, proven winner on the field. Definitely knows the lay of the land here in Richmond. Grew up here in the Richmond area, so has immense ties to recruiting. Great coach, proven to be trustworthy, and that's not based on anything we had experienced at that particular point in time, because we were just really meeting, but the dialogues that we had with the kids that we were recruiting with regards to you and how they spoke so highly of it. So at that point, Coach turned and he said, "Well, Coach, if you like it, I love it, and the rest is history."
I mean, it's crazy because I never coached with y'all. I didn't know y'all at all, other than y'all coming to the school. But I just want to say thank you, because you took a
No,
chance. You didn't really know me, and it just shows what kind of guy you are, T. And I just want to say thank
thank
you, man.
you.
I had the time of my
No,
life, man. I had the time of my
no,
life over there with y'all.
what a ride it was, man.
We had some great players and some great teams and some great memories, man, great relationships. I mean, I just saw
Absolutely.
that Coach Jesse Thompson is the defensive coordinator at Mississippi Valley State
Yeah.
University. And, I got to meet, Mike Spencer, our friend, who's coached all over the country, and Coach Mark James. Talk a little bit about Mark James before you get going and what he's meant to you.
Mark James has been very pivotal in my coaching career. Hired me back down in South Florida to be his offense coordinator. I was 23 years old, so that responsibility for a young man at that age, of course, everybody thinks that they're ready, but he gave me the opportunity to grow into it, to learn, and it wasn't never a situation to where if you mess this up, you're fired. It was more or less, listen, I've trusted you to do this job. Just get the job done. I can have some really, really, really unorthodox offensive ideas, and he allowed me to mature as a coach. And the one thing that I've learned, under Coach James is before you can be a great head coach or a great coordinator, you got to be a great position coach, and you have to learn from the old adage. You have to learn to lead before you can follow. You got to buy in to be not only buy into the head coach's vision, but be able to implement that vision, and not only in your room, not only on your side of the ball, but throughout the program, and just to carry yourself like a professional, from being organized to game management to managing staff and conflict within staff. So he gave me an opportunity at a young age that most head coaches might say, you're not ready, you're too young. And he just allowed me to kind of take that opportunity and run with it. So for that, I will forever be grateful for Coach James.
It's crazy. We always say on the podcast, everybody wants to be the head coach until they're the head coach. And my dad always told me, you got to be able to take orders before you can give orders. Everybody wants to give orders, but they don't know how to take them.
Correct.
And I'd been a head coach.
Right.
And, I got a chance to go there with Coach James. And I think I was even a better assistant coach after being a head coach. And man, I love being a good soldier, man, because it was like Coach James said, Troy, get this done. And I was like, Pitbull, man, boom. And I really enjoyed that. And I'm forever grateful to you, man. I never would have had that experience of coaching college football if it weren't for you, T. So T is wide open. Okay, if you came here to listen to running power and ISO to the side, to your own sideline 100 times a game, this ain't the talk for you. This is a guy.
This is not that podcast.
He is allegedly cut Robbie Anderson in high school because he wasn't good enough. Now that tells you what kind of receivers this guy's been around. I mean, JoJo Natson. I mean, Lavachier Kelly. I mean, talk about some of those guys in South Florida and how people no disrespect to Virginia, okay? But I love South Florida. I love Fort Lauderdale. And people don't know or understand about the skill guys in the football down there, man. And it's nuts. It's crazy. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, some of those guys from Booker T. Washington that we recruited, I mean, it's just unbelievable. Talk a little bit about the guys you coached.
Yes. Well, it comes from, down in South Florida and really the entire state, but mostly in South Florida, that football is a way of life early in these young men's lives. Typically, they'll start at age 5 and play all the way up through their senior year of high school. For a lot of them, from an economical standpoint, it's their only ways and means of that they can particularly see, that they can particularly control at that point in time, as a way out to open doors to get to the college level, not only to play but to get their further their education. So typically, that young man will have a chip on his shoulder because they know that they're all competing for the same thing in that particular realm. But as they go, it's year round. So they go through their football season, then immediately from age 8. My son is 8 years old right now. They've just finished the season. He's going into basketball, but now they're getting ready for spring football now at this particular point. So it's something that they do year round and that they cherish, and is very competitive. Now, to speak to some of the guys that I've been blessed to be around, they're the one that typically stands out the most. One's name you may be familiar with, the other couple you may, but JoJo Bruce Nasson. Because he had, from a look test of what everybody would be looking for, he didn't fit that mold. I mean, he might have been 5'8", if that, but as he would so passionately tell you, slow feet don't eat, and just give me the football and judge me by what I do. And he got the opportunity to come in and as a freshman, I'm talking high school now, career, and he blew it up at Boyd Anderson. Yeah, he blew it up at Boyd Anderson. Then it went from that no to well, he's going to be to play college football. Well, Akron took a chance on him. He went to Akron and tore it up. Well, he's going too small to play in the NFL. His first year, he's the punt returner and kickoff returner for the Rams in the Super Bowl. So he was just a young man that always had that chip on his shoulder, and he would tell you, Coach, I know I'm not going to get any taller, but again, put the ball in my hand and judge me on that. Then there were some other guys. Gustavus Dames, came from a great program. Coach Tim Ice Harris down at Miami Booker T High School. Same type story. Bigs come in small packages. His work ethic and the way that he worked, is something, again, that they just learned, and they just kind of patent that into understanding that was their way out. Then there was, we had the opportunity to coach Lavassier Kelly and Jesse York and those guys. Chaz McKenzie over at Virginia Union were arguably Division One athletes that, for whatever reason, on signing day fell through the cracks, and we were able to set many records with them as the core of our receiving group at Virginia Union during that time.
Yeah, I want to tell you, I contacted Uncle Luke about coming on the show about how the coaches in Miami and Dade County don't get paid a lot. And all I got to do is just throw up Dillard and Boyd Anderson and St. Thomas and Mark James and Toriano Morgan. He instantly tells me yes. So and that's something, man. It's crazy, man. I'm just a guy from Richmond, Virginia, from Chesterfield. But, man, I have such a connection with South Florida because of you guys. So Toriano is going to talk about his wide open offense. If you have any questions, go on YouTube or go on Facebook and leave a comment. Toriano, pull your PowerPoint up and then I'll share it.
Okay. There we go.
There you go, buddy. All right, it's up.
All right, so we're gonna start talking about the offense in its most simplistic form, and this script, this presentation will be more based on scripting plays, why we script plays, the benefits of scripting plays to get off to a fast start, so you're able to get to a fast start, get points on the board, and take control of the game early. As a young coordinator, I was that guy that would just come off the cusp. I have my call sheet I look at it for the first two plays, inside zone first down, inside zone second down. Okay, we're 5 wide. Let's go. As we got to that, and I got to mature a little bit as a play caller, I started to see the benefit of scripting plays and how that it could make you a more efficient, a more effective, and make your offense more effective because it kind of compartmentalizes your offense to a point to where you're able to now dictate who's touching the ball, how many times as well. And then when you start to talk about offense, it's no secret. The goal is to get the ball in the hands of the guys that know what to do with it. So this allows you to do that from a strategic standpoint. So when we talk about scripting plays and why script plays, it eliminates the anxiety of plays. We want to always make sure in games we run what we. So a young man knows if it's 3rd and 2, and they know inside zone is coming, the anxiety of what's coming next is eliminated from them. And as Coach Joe Taylor would always say, an informed mind is a better mind. It eliminates that anxiety because they had an idea of what was coming because they're doing what they practiced. And then it gives them the opportunity to more effectively and confidently perform that play. It gets the balls into the hands of the guys that know what to do with it. You want to make sure as you're scripting, you go down and you count the ball, you count the times that you're getting the ball into your playmaker's hands. So it's a synchronized schedule of how you're getting the ball, how early you're getting the ball, and how often you're getting them the ball. Also, it helps you establish your identity early. Whatever it is for your game plan that you want to establish, it gives you that opportunity to be true to it. And then as far as attacking defenses, if you want to create different matchups and see those matchups earlier in the game, it gives you the opportunity to get those formations out there to create those matchups. And of course, ultimately, you got your opportunities to take some shots early and score some points. So collectively, with all of those, while we're scripting plays, we want them to all culminate into points.
Hey, T, let me ask you about going from coaching with Mark James at Virginia Union to going to Virginia State and coaching with Reggie Barlow, who played in the NFL. What did you learn from Coach Barlow, and what was different, or what was the same about coaching with those two coaches?
Well, they're two different personalities, but equally as effective. Coach James, had more of a background from a defensive standpoint. So as we would talk about game planning, the perspective that he was able to give would be from a defensive coordinator standpoint, which would allow me now to kind of go back, think of it from a different perspective, and then tweak it if it needed to be tweaked. Coach Barlow, was a wide receiver, so he didn't mind seeing that ball go down the field in the air as many times as possible. But if we had a particular play, he had a perspective to where he could look at that play and it was, let's make this play better, or we used to do this, or let's look at this, or let's try this. And then ultimately, he would say, all of this is great, but the words he would use is call what you see. So basically, it was two different perspectives from the two gentlemen's backgrounds, but it was pleasure working with both those gentlemen.
Yeah. So, what was there anything that you added or changed? Because I haven't coached with you since you were at Union. Was there anything you added or changed from working with Coach Barlow?
Oh, absolutely. From working with Coach Barlow, we got an opportunity. We had a true dual threat quarterback. So trying to coordinate the offense to maximize his skill set. And then the backup quarterback, was nothing of a dual threat. He was a true pocket passer. So being able to create a system that they could both be successful in if needed. And we'll talk a little bit about how we did that in this presentation. from that standpoint. So I think those were the two. But as far as scheme, verbiage and all of that good stuff, we pretty much kept it as much the same.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know, T. I want to give you your flowers, man. Like X's and O's are great, but like one of your strengths is being able to coach guys who other people can't coach, or being able to relate to kids who other coaches can't get through to. So like you're from South Florida, you played at Tennessee State. What is your secret to that? Do you see yourself in that kid? What is it, T?
Well, I think I go into the philosophy that every kid wants to be coached. No kid is going to come to practice every day and he doesn't coach, but you just have to find out how this kid responds to certain type of coaching. I think oftentimes as coaches, there's a blanket way that we relate. Now, I'm not saying sacrifice culture. I'm not saying negotiate rules. No, definitely not. But to get a young man, to get the best out of him, you have to know what triggers him first and what motivates him. His triggers,
Mm-hmm.
you have to know when he's shutting down. When he's shutting down, there's a reason. And a lot of these young men that we coach come from backgrounds to where, let's just call it what it is, adults have failed them. So, they come in with a hardened fixture around their heart already because they've been failed as kids, as adults. So it's not personal, the way they may be responding to you. It's the way that they've learned to be to protect their feelings. So before you can start to talk any X's and O and
Man,
and any of that good stuff, you've got to get them to really believe what you're saying and trust that you have their best interest at hand. So if you're walking in day one and you're telling that young man, "Hey, trust me," you're gonna be disappointed if he's a young man that's been failed a lot of his life. You have to build that relationship. When he sees that, he'll respond. So if you can't get a young man to go to class Monday through Friday, you're fooling yourself if you think you're going to get him to run a 15-yard dig route on Friday night or Saturday afternoon. What they do off the field oftentimes is a byproduct of who they are on the field. So you have to pay attention to that, spend time with them, get to know them genuinely as individuals. And then once they first begin to respect you, then they'll learn to trust you. And then once that trust is there, you can push them to the maximum limits. A lot of them have never been told, you're wrong. And you don't have to respond this way all the time. So it's just spending time with them, getting to know them, and then truly investing in them to let them see that we understand as coaches, football is going to end for them one day, no matter what level it is. But we want to make sure that we have invested in them to be productive citizens and be able to get some values and virtues along the way to be able to be productive citizens and positive human beings.
man. I mean, this is your X's and O's talk today, but we're going to have you back to talk about this because this stuff is more important. I'm asking one more thing, man,
Awesome.
about this because this is probably more important X's and O's. There was this coach
Okay.
I know, he told me, he said, "Troy, I'm having a lot of trouble with these players that I have in my program." He's like, because these kids are coming to me and they're saying, like, you don't understand me, or you don't look like me, or, you're trying to change me. I mean, just thinking about myself coming to Virginia Union, like, how are people who maybe don't look the same as the players or from the same place, how are those people able to relate or get kids to buy in? And you as an assistant coach, are you a part of helping out other coaches? Like if the head coach can't relate to a kid, are you like, that's what I'm asking you about. Like it's crazy, like how a coach could be nothing like a kid, but I guess our common bond is football. But
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that.
If you speak with the young man, they use this term. Real recognizes real. And really what the young man is saying is just be genuine and be honest with me. Be who you are with me. Don't try to be something that you think I want you to be,
Ooh.
or be something that you think I relate to. Be you. And then allow me to get to know the real you. So if we're talking about building a relationship, player, coach, and you're not being genuine with who you are, we're not building a relationship. I'm building a relationship with a personality that you have, not the true
Yes.
you. So it doesn't matter authentically what you look like. They understand that if you genuinely have their best interest at hand, they'll gravitate to you. Some of the most successful coaches are the coaches that are genuine. I go back and I'll talk about my experience with Coach Holt, Bill Holt, Dr. Holt. Dr. Holt was very genuine with his offensive line, and there were some
And
a
this Coach
generational
Holt was
gap
70
between.
years old, y'all, and a big man. I mean, he was
Right,
did not look like any of our players. But yeah, you're right. Talk a little bit about Coach Holt. Give him his flowers, man.
right. So he was very successful with his offensive line and the players that he coached, because it didn't matter what he looked at or what the differences were. Those young men knew genuinely Coach Holt loved them. He had their back. He was a personality. And when I say have their back, having their back is telling their behinds when they wrong too, and not just giving them a pass. So they responded to him because he was very genuine with them. It doesn't
Yeah.
oftentimes matter what the differences are. I think sometimes we put too much value on that. I think it's how honest that the players are being with the coach and the coach are being with the players, because again, it works both ways. By the time at the college level we get some of these young men, they've learned the right things to say. They've learned the right things to say in public, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's always what they do. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's again a two-way street of being able to get past all of the facades and be 100% genuine with these young men, and be able to let them know that you genuinely, if that's the case, have their best interest in hand. And then, Troy, I'm
I
going to
mean,
be
listen,
honest. There are some coaches that only give a doggone and only give a hoot about the X's and O's. So they see that as well. So, oftentimes, they're taking that experience from what they're seeing there and then generalizing it and thinking that it's everybody. So, as the adult, as the coach, we oftentimes have to go the extra mile to make sure that we're cultivating and sustaining and moving those relationships to in the right direction.
yeah,
I
I appreciate.
always have used the definition of coach as one that takes another to a place that they cannot take themselves.
Amen. What you said about a person being or saying what another person you think they want to hear. It reminds me of that movie with Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy. And have you seen it? It's on Netflix. Have you seen it? It's good, man. It's about Jonah
Yes.
Hill and London.
What's
Those people or something.
yeah, you people.
You people.
Yeah,
That
you
that is a
people.
great
Yeah,
movie
but I
because
just watched it this weekend.
yeah, like it just I talk about emotional IQ. Like that movie, the woman that you're describing is the mom, the woman from Seinfeld, the Dreyfus lady. Like
Hmm.
she's saying what she thinks that the girl wants to hear, or you know what I'm saying? She's not being genuine.
Right,
So
right.
it's this is deep now, man. I, I love
Yes, no,
doing
this
this.
is great dialogue, Troy.
Yeah, I love doing this, man. We're changing the game, man. We're going to help so many coaches and players, man. But man, that really this is what's important. But coach here to talk about X's and O's today, but we'll have him back.
No, I'm having a ball. Okay, we're gonna pick it back up. So when we talk about the scripting, we want to know what should be in a 20-play script or 15-play script, and there's no right or wrong number. It's just the number that you're comfortable with. So what are the descriptions, the ingredients in it? The first thing is the staff responsibility and breakdowns. Who's responsible for what? Who's watching what? And as I would say, who's the expert in what particular area of the game plan? If you're a coordinator or a young coordinator, the worst thing that you could do is on game day not have specific responsibilities for your assistant coaches. So if you're that coordinator and you're wondering why your assistant coaches are always coming to you, telling you what we should be running, it's because they don't have any responsibilities to watch during the play. Who's watching the back
Yeah.
end? Who's watching the fronts? Who's watching the blitzes? Who's watching this? Who's watching that? So conversations, when it starts to talk about making adjustments, you're getting tangible information that you can make correct adjustments as opposed to a play-by-play of what you just saw. For us, and then Troy, I'll say this: Troy was excellent in the booth for us. Troy could actually has a gift to where he could see the formations. He could tell you this. He could tell you that. And again, it's tangible information that you need to get to make the informed decisions as far as play calling. Formations. How many formations are you going to have? When we go into a game, we're going to have no less than 14 formations. And that's just to give us an opportunity to get to certain matchups. Motions. Motion causes emotion, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We wanted to have motions on our plays at least every 3 plays. We wanted to have some type of shift, some type of jump, some type of motion. Our shots, taking our shots down the field, our deep balls. We want to do it early and often to make sure, we let the defense know if nothing, you cornerbacks, this is not your day to come get involved in this perimeter run game. Stay back and stay way back, or we'll go deep, really deep. Your special plays, your special plays, your trick plays, getting them in and early to be a momentum swinger, to manipulate some field position or a cheap play, get some points. You want to have those in there, and your screens and draws, as well as your play action. So this gives you an opportunity to kind of coordinate it and keep you on schedule and putting it together to where you're able to get all of these elements in. So you're bringing all of your elements of your offense to the table, causing defensive coordinators to have to defend the entire U. Staff responsibilities, just a little bit of how we attack it. Of course, we're looking at our opponent film, their personnel, and their scheme. Who are they? Most importantly, what is their personnel? Does their scheme fit their personnel? Where are our opportunities with their personnel? Then when we start to talk about film study, we're going down on Sunday night. The first thing I look at is third down, 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6 tells me exactly who you are. If on 3rd and 6 you're a blitzer, then that's kind of your personality. If 3rd and 6 you're a guy that likes to play your base, that gives me a pretty telltale about your personality as a defensive play caller. When we start the game plan, we game plan our control downs, and we identify control downs as 1st and 2nd down. A run game by formation, compartmentalized learning. What schemes, what formations do we like? Let's put them up. Control downs, 1st and 2nd down, pass protections, including our formation. Our play action by formation. And then the control down passing game, the actual concepts that we like out of each formations for 1st and 2nd down. 3rd down, again, is something that we look at based on what that particular team likes to do on 3rd down. And then our red zone menu. Then as we started to talk about how we were able to script for both quarterbacks that had a variation of skill set. We get 5 plays from our starting quarterback, and we get 5 plays from our backup quarterback, and we incorporate those into the game plan. The 5 plays for the starting quarterback is, if he gets off schedule, he hits a wall, suffers a little bit of adversity. We got 5 plays that he's comfortable with, that we can get back to kind of jumpstart him and get him back on schedule. Backup quarterback, if for whatever reason we have to just insert him into the game for injury to the starting quarterback, or equipment malfunction, or whatever the reason may be, we've got a starting point for him. And again, that's when we started to talk about eliminating the anxiety. At least that backup quarterback knows 5 plays that are coming are 5 plays that I chose. Now, I would always say to the quarterbacks, as we're having this dialogue, you have to be a pretty different individual to suggest 5 plays that you can't perform or you don't know. So it's a pretty good telltale that the 5 plays that they're going to give you are 5 plays that they're comfortable with. All right, formations. When we started talking about formations, I'm sorry?
The 49ers could have used that philosophy, man.
They sure could have, right?
How do they not have just a 53-man roster in the NFL? I mean, do they not want to pay anybody else? I mean, you got to have 3 quarterbacks on a football team, man.
Well, that they were down to number 3, so I think the odds of losing
at Fayetteville.
Right. That was a different circumstance. So I'm pretty sure they had a good rationale behind it, or if not, I'm pretty sure it'll never happen again. So as we talk about formations, we like to carry 13 to 14 formations in our 20-play script. Now, we're not counting or not duplicating formation. So if we're trips right and trips left, we're not counting that as 1 formation. That's 2 formations. So field and boundary, those kind of dictate a formation for us, because it can give a telltale. We always want to have a formation of the week. We always want to show something that we haven't shown before on film, and we're going to show it to you just to see how you align to it, how you adjust to it. Maybe, if we have some success with it, we'll come back to it. Maybe it's just something we want to show to have you thinking about, and you get over on the sideline and pay a little bit more attention to trying to align to that formation, and we know we're never coming back to it. So that's always a plus. Utilize formations to identify exploitable matchups. That's another way when we're talking about getting our guys that know what to do with the ball, just creating favorable matchups to get them the ball. And then the formation, it confirms your film study. If you thought there were going to be a 4-down, 2-high team on first down, and you line up against trips, and that's what they are, it confirms that that's what they're going to at least start out with, and gives you confirmation where to move with your game plan. We talked about the motions. Motions, they cause emotion. There's a scenario that a legendary coach once told me. When you walk into the house, you have your keys. You walk in, you open the door, and you put your keys down by the door on the table. You go do whatever it is that you have to do, and then it's time for you to go back out. You go back to that same table, and the first place you look where you dropped your keys, they're not there because somebody moved them. Your first reaction is an emotional reaction. Where are my keys? Even if they've just moved them 1 feet or 2 feet to the right or to the left, that first reaction is an emotional reaction. That's what motion does to defenses. When we've identified what this strength is, and then we get 3 guys that move or 2 guys that move, and then 1 guy that motions, he sets, and then another guy motions. It's an emotional reaction for defenses. And so we like to include some motions because we like to take the the game out of that defensive coordinator's hands. We know he can probably make the adjustments, but we want to see, can the guys on the field make the adjustments on the run? So we're always going to give them a lot of eye candy to look at. Not probably as much as Matt Canada, but somewhere along those lines.
Hey, T, what coach told you that, if you don't mind me asking?
That was Coach Taylor.
Wow. I want to ask you something about Mike Marita, who came in our last year. He came from Vanderbilt. He had been at Albany as the O-line coach. He had been at Vanderbilt as an off-the-field guy, but he came in our last year to coach the O-line at Virginia Union. Now he's at Lehigh University. At Virginia Union, they had the #1 rusher in the nation. When Mike Marita came to Virginia Union, Toriano, what was it that you learned from him? Was there anything, or I'm just wondering, like,
I learned a lot from Mike. Two guys that genuinely have a genuine respect and love for one another. Mike is my brother, but we are totally different. RPO for me is let's throw the ball down the field. RPO for him is run power often. So yeah. I think we balanced each other out. So learning from him, different ways you can manipulate fronts to run the football. Mike is a genius at that. So just to see him work, and then the fundamental aspect of his teaching. Mike is a darn great teacher. As far as taking those young men and being able to bring them along to be successful, as he's proven, just this past year with that young man that rushed for nearly 1 million yards. They did a great job with that run game down there. So Mike
that just shows you, man. I mean, recruiting is not an exact science. I mean, everybody's calling for going to Division I, but you got this kid who's 5'8", who's probably the best tailback in the country playing Division II football. So it's nuts, man.
And again, another example of a great man. Coach Marita is a genuine human being. When you speak to him, you're gonna get his values in life, and he doesn't ever negotiate it. He loves his family. It's in the way he loves his family. It pours over into the young men that he coaches. So it's genuine. So any and every time Coach Marita has success, it's not a shock to me, because it's who he is, to be able to genuinely look out for these young men and get them to be able to perform off the field and on the field.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think he's half white and half Asian. I mean, you're right. He's a little bitty guy, but he can relate to guys of all colors, all sizes. It's like you said, man. It's some people just have that gift.
Right. Now, I always, and I hope he sees this, when I get him to do a clinic on running 5 verts, then
5 verts. They can't go all 5.
That's a running joke.
Somebody on a 3. Well, they got that 3 safety defense now, T. That 3 safety defense. I would take Bosch or what's Dames? What's his name? The kid from Booker T. I take him down the middle on some monster that's playing low. In that 3 safety defense.
Right. Yeah, it has his perks to it, but it'll be fun to go up against. I know it's trending, so we're gonna see some variations of it this upcoming season. Okay, so you want to pick back up, or?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
This is great, man.
We've been talking 45 minutes. We can stay on here all day, T.
I know. I was just saying, man, this is great. All right, so how much motion should you have? Like I said, my rule of thumb for our offenses is every 3 plays, we'd like to at least have some type of motion. So we want to show you something and let you get comfortable, then show you something else. So that's just kind of our formula that we've had success with that we like to utilize. All right, take your shot. Throwing the football down the field. When should you take your first shot? We like to go with it somewhere within the first 10 plays. We feel like even saying that, if you know it's coming, we still win because you're playing a little bit more reserved because you know it's coming. So we like to make sure that we get that shot in fairly early to again help with some of the alleviation on the perimeter run game, and again getting our guys the best matchup and taking a shot and letting them be ball players. Slows the secondary, and if you have a special play like a double reverse or double reverse pass, you want to get yours early. You want to run yours first because if the other team runs theirs first, yours is not going to work because everybody now in the stadium is on alert for something razzle dazzle that may be coming. And then two ready to go. You want to set one up and from an obvious tendency. So if you get an obvious look that you have, or a tendency that you know, a down that you know that they blitz on, or a sudden change, let them know again what play is coming. It relieves the anxiety, and again, you're taking that shot down the field not just to throw it, but to complete it for points. And then you want to have one that you set up in your first 20 off your run game. That's a complement to your run game in your run progression. So those are the scenarios in which we look at as far as game planning and taking a shot. Of course, your play action. So again, we got our drop back, we got our shot, we got our special play, we got our runs, we got our formations, we got our motions. Now, again, we're progressing from the run progression to getting into our play action and our screens. If you got a very active defense that likes to flow, that play action and those screens are slowing down early. It provides an answer immediately to possible pressure. If you know that they're a pressure team and this is a pressure down for them, let's get it in early to get an explosive play. And it complements your run game and also protects the integrity of your run game. So if you're an inside zone team and you like to run inside zone, your play action off of it protects the integrity of your inside zone when you get back to being able to get down and dirty and having to run it. All right, some common questions that we'll get on scripting. How married to your script should you be? Again, great advice. Coach Barlow would always say to both coordinators before the game, what you see. If you see that there's an obvious opportunity to exploit the offense or the defense, yeah, you can come off script and you roll with it until they make an adjustment. I always believe it's the defense's job to stop you. It's not your job to stop you. So if you have an opportunity, you exploit it until they make the adjustment. What gets you off of script? Your script versus situation. So if you're rolling on your 20 play script and you get to 3rd and 2, and 3rd and 2 is 5 verts, that probably is not the call you want to have that earlier in the game. So you now move from your game plan 20 play script to whatever your situational script is, if you have one, or whatever play that you have favored in that particular situation, and that will be the play that you would want to get to. How many plays should the script be? That's up to you. 20 is a number for me, but there's been some games to where we've gotten to play 12, and situations have caused us to have to get off of it, and then we didn't get back to play 13 to maybe the second quarter. There was one particular game at Virginia State where we literally got all 20 plays in successfully. We started on the 1-yard line and we had a 99-yard 8-minute drive, and we hit every play on the 20 play script. So it's just it's a feel. It's still a feel that you have with your personality. Who should give input on this script? As a coordinator, definitely would like during the week when you're in your game planning meetings to listen to ideas, to hear some scenarios as you're putting it together. And then, from that standpoint, you culminate your script with your staff. Again, if it's just you that's putting together the script, then there's another dynamic of having the coaches that will be implementing the game plan as well as the players understanding that they're thinking as much like you as possible. On what day should your script be completed? We like to have we play on Saturdays, so we like to run the script on air for the first time on Thursday. Then we'll come back. We'll run it again in Friday's walkthroughs. If we get Friday night meetings, we'll talk through the script again. Then again on Saturday mornings, if we meet, we'll walk through it, talk through it then. And what that does is it gives the young men some familiarity with it, and it also cleans up your sideline from a personnel standpoint. So as you're changing formations and they get accustomed to the script and where we're going, a young man that might be in a personnel grouping not till play 7, you best believe he's engaged. And when play 5 gets there, play 6 gets there, he's getting himself ready for that personnel grouping to go in, and he's there. So that will eliminate, the delay of games for not having the right personnel, not having the right men on the field. It just kind of cleans that up. And then if everything is scripted, how are adjustments made? Again, you have everyone watching certain elements and you're getting tangible information. You're getting feedback from the players. So you take that information and then you make the necessary adjustments as required. All right, so a second half script. We script the first half, and then we always have a little something for the second half. And it's game plan, and then it's practiced as well. So you've gone into halftime and you've made all these great adjustments to what we're doing. And here we come in the second half with another element that you may not have seen. Second half, trust your data. If you look down at your call sheet and the result sheet, and you see inside zone, you're getting 7-8 yards a carry, then it's not rocket science. Keep running inside zone. Don't overthink it. Don't force anything that hasn't been working. You've been working your bunch stuff, and it's just not on. Your guys that you thought were going to be open, or reads that you thought the quarterback was going to be able to make, is not there. Also understand the other team is being coached as well. So don't force it if it's not there. Trust your data and continue to find ways to manipulate defenses to get them the football. And Troy, this is our last slide of evaluating your 20 plays. Expect what you expect. Run your script and run your script again. You run it till it's clean. If as you're running it, that play is just not working, then replace it. You want to make sure whatever your number of formations are, that you have different formations to cause defenses to have to adjust and create your matchups that you like. Motion every 3 plays. As you go down, make sure play 1, play 2, play 3. Play 1, play 2, play 3. Make sure that you have a motion there. And it doesn't have to be in that particular order. If it's 20 and you want motion every 3 plays, the number that you would like, as long as it's into that particular number, that works too. Your special plays, remember to use yours first. Your shots down the field, take it early and take them often. Include your screens in your play action. And most importantly, keep count of who's touching the ball so you're understanding out of that script what playmakers are touching the football. So that's our take or our formula to when we talk about how important it is to script plays, what goes into scripting plays for us.
So when an offense motions, the defense, like you see it in pro football all the time, the quarterback, they want to motion to see it shows the defense's hand. Like some teams, if it's man, they're going to run with them. If it's zone, they're not. And then like some teams, if you motion, they're not going to blitz. And then some teams, if you motion like to a 3-by-1 or something, they're going to bring a certain pressure. So like I don't want you to give everything you do, but what's your tip sheet in your mind of when you motion, what you see the defense do? What does that tell you?
Well, the number 13 is so important for us that we've used in our scripts because it is getting us from a 2-by-2 tight end unattached look to a 3-by-1. So we know who you are 2-by-2. We know who you are 3-by-1. We're just using those shifts and those jumps to manipulate into getting you into what we expect you to be. Now, if you don't, then we would like to think somewhere we're going to have a numerical advantage at the point of attack.
Yeah, and that's so important that some coaches I don't know if they don't understand the numbers involved in the game, and like when you run the ball, you're running into bad numbers. That's something we really hung our hat on after Team Union. One thing you said about the shot plays that I don't want to give. I guess anybody knows they coach against Mike Marita, but the one thing I like so much about Marita is like we have like a change of I don't know, it was like an interception or a turnover, and then we get the ball, and then we would load up, and man, we would bring it in there like we had one receiver, and we would play action, and we'd only release one guy, and we would take a shot, and like that, you got 9-man protection. I mean, 9-man. I mean, and that dude is fast, and he's blowing the top off the coverage. So like, man, that was so cool. Like, because when you bring in all those tight ends and fullbacks, people think, oh, it's run, 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 run. And then all of a sudden,
it's play action, and that was the I guess the definition of how we define a sudden change. We would always say the defense is on the sideline if it's a sudden change, and they're in a position they weren't expecting to get back on the field that quickly. So they're back on the field now. Naturally, they're going to react to the first thing that they see. So when they see 9 guys coming in and it's an obvious run formation that we've purposely shown you was a run formation, and power is coming and you get that play action off of it, you look up and you got Dames or Jesse York or Chaz running wide open down the middle of the field. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. So you are no huddle. You're fast. What do you do when you have to go slow? Like, is there a time you ever have to go slow, like in 4-minute offense, or you had to lead? What do you do then?
I send the play in a little slower.
Huh?
No, I send the play in slower. So
okay.
So
typically
if we, and our guys, they understand, especially our quarterbacks, they'll understand situational football from, who we are as far as our regular tempo, who we are in 2 minutes, and then when we get into a 4 minute. So they know when the clock is here, I got the play, we're ready. But if 4 minute, we know coach is not going to send it in until this right here. So we're maximizing and getting it down. Trying to change who you are, in middle of the game, oftentimes turns that 4 minute 1st and 10 into 1st and 15. We just want to stay true to who we are, and we'll control the clock with our play calling operation.
Yeah, and like I was just thinking about Addy. And Addy is your offensive line coach, and Addy was our center, and me and Addy coached defensive line together my last year at Virginia Union, and Addy beat me when he coached Huguenot, and it was the first time Bird had lost to Huguenot in forever. So talk a little bit about your staff, and I mean, being a former high school coach and going to coach college, is that an advantage? So just talk a little bit about your staff, T.
Absolutely. Well, first I'll start on offensive side of the football, very blessed to have a very talented offensive staff. Our offensive coordinator and our quarterback coach is Coach Brian Jenkins. Coach Jenkins, is a former national champion head coach, at Bethune-Cookman. He was there for, maybe about six seasons, I believe. Then he went on to Alabama State, where he was the head coach there, and has been in coaching over 30 years. So again, bringing a different perspective, a different element to the offense is very, very, very has been very pivotal in what we've done here. Our offensive line coach is Coach Addison Hayes. Again, Coach Hayes played for us. He was our starting center for 2 seasons when we were there. Then he came out and he GA'd for us. Then he took the head coaching position at Huguenot High School there in Richmond, Virginia. Then, this position came. Was blessed to get him to come on down and be our offensive line coach. And Addie just brings, again, a different perspective because, not only is he in his adolescent stage of college coaching, he's also been the youngest high school head coach. So there's an element that's beneficial when it talks about compliance and rules and all of that good stuff. He knows that stuff like a book. So that gives a one leg up when it comes to recruiting. And to answer your question, yes, it does give you an advantage, Troy, as you may know, having been a high school head coach and a college coach, you sat on both sides of that table from a recruiting standpoint. So you know which lanes to travel, which lanes not to travel. What's fact and what's fiction. So it does give you that element as far as making informed decisions on guys that you like to bring into your program and the relationships that you have with the high school coaches that you've made over the years. Our wide receiver coach is Coach Tyrell Conyers. Coach Conyers is a legendary offensive coordinator down in South Florida, having won state championships with Miramar High School. He went on to become the offensive coordinator at Miami Northwestern. Geno Smith, that's had a heck of a season with the Seahawks this past season, was his protege. So being able to, hands-on watch him develop that young man as he was coming through the ranks was great. So we've graded. He's put out numerous amounts of wide receivers that have gone on to the college level and to the high and to the professional level to play. So very, very excited about what he brings to. Then our tight ends coach is Coach Chris Falk. Works with the tight ends that we have here, and yes, we use a tight end, a player 2 here now, 3rd and goal. So he works with our tight ends here. On the defensive side of the ball, we have Coach Fred Alexander, as a native of Jacksonville, has coached at Clark and very familiar with the SIAC conference that we play in. Mike Page has been pivotal. He's our special teams coordinator from, again, played at West Virginia, as well as our secondary coach. And then Coach TJ, our linebacker coach. Again, he played at West Virginia as well. He's actually from the 5-7 and, migrated here to Florida and is blessed to have us here on our staff.
So, Ed Waters, I'm not too familiar with Ed Waters other than I know that you're the head coach. Tell us a little bit about Edward Waters, T. Because, people in Richmond, Virginia probably don't know much.
Okay, well, Edward Waters University, we actually just transitioned from Edward Waters College to Edward Waters University a little over a year ago now at this particular point. And then we transitioned from an NAIA program, a Division II program. We are an HBCU, and we compete in the SIAC. So we're in the conference with the likes of Miles, Tuskegee, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, so that Benedict, Savannah State, Fort Valley State, so those Central State. So those are the schools that are in our conference. We're going into our second season in the SIAC, to where we'll be full-fledged members, and we're ready to compete for a championship.
Nice. So you went to a HBCU, Tennessee State, and then you coached at Virginia Union, and you coached at V State, and now you're at Edward Waters University. And what happened with Ed Reed at Bethune, and with Dion leaving, like what's on your heart about that? What would you like to communicate to the coaches and the people watching about HBCUs and HBCU football? Like what's on your heart about Ed Reed and the situation that he had, and then Dion leaving to go to Colorado? What is your thoughts on that, T?
Well, I'll start with Coach Prime. Going on that just kind of explains in our profession. I mean, the goal is in any profession, if there's an opportunity that aligns with your career goals, and that opportunity comes about, it's something that you want to look into. And if you're blessed with the opportunity to get it, then I believe you have every right to pursue it. So I don't feel any type of way as far as Coach Prime, moving on. It's no different than any other coach that has had success at where he is. And programs want to be part of winners, and he did win at Jackson State, and he was afforded the opportunity to go to Colorado, and
it's fun to watch.
That's the route. Yeah, that's the route he chose.
Me and you were about the same age, T, and you remember Colorado, even though their coach was it McCaffrey or McCaffrey, whatever his name was, McCartney.
Yeah.
They were the bad boys, man. That black and that gold, and
yes.
I think it's fun to watch. I mean, you got Lil Wayne walking through the facility, and some girls crying and stuff. Like,
right.
It's great, man. I mean, it's good for college football.
Right. And as far as the situation down at Bethune, I don't know a lot about the actual ins and outs, but it's unfortunate. You hate to see that situation kind of go in the direction that it did, because ultimately, there are young men involved. The players. So I think they've gotten to a space to where both parties have moved on. They hired a great coach on yesterday. So looks like they've got things headed, in a good direction. I'm sorry, Coach.
Who is the coach that they hired?
You said, who did they hire?
Mm-hmm.
They hired Coach Raymond Woody. Coach has been, he's been a great high school coach down in South Florida, in West Palm Beach. He's coached at South Florida, most recently FAU, where he was a recruiting coordinator. He's been at Oregon, at Florida State, coaching linebackers. And he's a graduate of Bethune-Cookman as well.
Yeah.
So, I think they've made a move in the right direction by, getting someone in there, putting everything behind them, and moving in the right direction for the sake of the young men that are already vested in the program, and the young men that potentially want to come to that program.
Yeah, so I got to get ready to go to class. What would you like to leave the clinic with, T? Anything you'd like to say before we end? And how can people get in contact with you, your Twitter and stuff like that?
Okay, well, I would love to leave the clinic with every time I'm blessed with the opportunity to come on and speak at this clinic. Has been great. I've got the opportunity to not only speak, but I've also been a student of the mental, watching as they come up. So it's a great learning tool. I want to thank you, Coach Troy Taylor, for allowing me to come on. And then I would like to leave my Twitter information. It is at Toriano, at Toriano 81. At Toriano 81 is my Twitter handle.
I'm going to put that up there. At Toriano 81.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's it.
All right, right on. Well, T, you're the best. I can't wait to get you back on, man. Yeah, since you're off,
Anytime, man.
Yeah, we have to do another one, man. All right, thank you, brother.
I'm down.